नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10, 44, Canto 10, chapter 44, text number 1. Chapter entitled The Killing of Kamsa, the ultimate climax. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Charchita Sankalpo Bhagavan Madhusudanaha Asasadat Chanuram Mushtikam Rohini Sutaha. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Charchita Sankalpo Bhagavan Madhusudanaha Asasadat Chanuram Mushtikam Rohini Sutaha. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Charchita Sankalpo Bhagavan Madhusudanaha Asasadat Chanuram Mushtikam Rohini Sutaha. Vacha Evam Charchita Sankalpo Bhagavan Madhusudanaha Sashatadat Chanuram Mushtikam Rohini Sutaha. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Charchita Sankalpo Bhagavan Manusudanaha Asasadat Chanuram Mushtikam Rohini Sutaha. Ladies, Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam Charchita Sankalpo Bhagavan Madhusudana. Hare Krishna. Sri Shuka Uvacha. Shukadev Goswami said, Evam, thus, Charchita, fixing, Sankalpaha, his determination, Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, Madhusudanaha, Krishna, Asasada, confronted, Atha, then, Chanura, Mushtikam, Mushtika, Rohini Sutaha, the son of Rohini, Lord Balaram. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, thus addressed, Lord Krishna made up his mind to accept the challenge. He paired off with Chanur and Lord Balaram with Mushtika. Next verse. Hastabhyam hastayor bhadva padbhyam eva chapadayo vichakarsha turanyonyam prasaya vijigishaya. Seizing each other's hands and locking legs with each other, the opponents struggled powerfully, eager for victory. Text number 3. Aratni dve aratnibhyam Janubhyam chaiva januni Shiraha shirshno raso rastav Anyonya abhijagnatuhu. They each struck feast against feast, knees against knees, head against head, and chest against chest. Purport. The word aratni in this verse may indicate the elbow as well as the fist. The blows were perhaps also struck with the elbow, the technique seen in today in various martial arts, like this. Krishna. So this is very Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Taking over from my last class, few things were remaining I would like to tell. The ceremony of Kubja's surgical correction by Krishna. There is one ceremony that happens in Mathura. Whenever there is marriage takes place in Mathura, what happens is this is only in Mathura, by the way. Vrindavan Dham is a very special place. There are so many rituals and so many festivals are performed only in a particular village only. Although it is in Braj, but it doesn't happen in any other village. Like Holi happens in all over the villages of Braj, but some festivals are only in that village. For example, when Radharani was born, Mukharai, the grandmother of Radharani, the mother's mother of Radharani, she was in her village, Mukharai. So when she heard the news of Radharani's birth, she just lifted one bullock cart wheel which was there, put lamps on that and started dancing. Like this. She held the wheel and started rolling the wheel in her hand like chakra. And looking at her, all the other ladies got inspired. They also picked up bullock cart wheels, put lamps on that and started dancing. And that is called Charakula Nritya. Charakula Nritya is a very famous cultural dance of Brajbhumi, and that dance takes place on Radhashtami day only in Mukharai village. Another thing is, there is something called as Kamsa Mela. That takes place only in Mathura. From the birthplace of Kamsa, Krishna, to Rangabhumi. There is a procession every year with the refugee, the big statue made of all explosives. Like we do Ravan here in Shivaji Park, like that. And they carry him all the way to Rangabhumi, and there they beat him and they destroy him. That Kamsa Mela takes place only in Mathura. Like that, there are specific rituals, specific customs. Like that, in Mathura, in the memory of Kubja's union with Krishna, very unique way Krishna united with her. The married couple who gets married in Mathura, the Chaturvedis or Chaubes, whatever, the newly wedded couple, they come to Vishram Ghat. Their Lord Varahadev rested and Bhumi Devi heard Adivara Puran and took bath also. That particular place, they bring the bridegroom, and the groom puts his big toe of right foot on the right big toe of the bride, the newly wedded girl. And then he holds his index finger folded and lifts her chin and takes her darshan. The way Krishna pulled her chin and made her straight, so she is looking down with shyness, and then he will hold her chin and lift it. That ritual is done only in Mathura, not in other villages. So this is one thing remaining. And one thing was more remaining was, what was Kubja's history? Very interesting history. In Ramayana we hear about Lord Ram staying in forest after 13 years. The 14th year he moved to Dandakaranya, right, to Nasik area. And at the same time, immediately Shurpanakha came there. And all of the past time we know. And Shurpanakha's nose and ears were cut. And she cried and screamed and she went running back and brought her brothers. What are the brothers' name? Khar, Dushan and Trishira. All of them, they came and Krishna, Lord Ramchandra single-handedly with 14,000 Rakshasas were killed in 45 minutes time. And then she went all the way to Lanka and she instigated Ravan. And then Ravana got inspired and he thought of a plan. He went to Maricha and then all the things happened after that. But no one thinks about Shurpanakha, what happened to her. It seems Shurpanakha got very much highly depressed. Because for a woman to lose her nose and ears, it's a great loss. It's a big loss. She was very highly insulted. And she did her job of instigating Ravana, but then nobody took notice of her. Now Ravan was focusing on doing whatever he wanted to do, and all the attention went to him. But then Shurpanakha went to Pushkar Tirtha, and she stayed underwater for 10,000 years and worshipped Lord Shiva. Obviously, this is in the Treta Yuga, so many years life was possible that time. 10,000 years she submerged herself into underwater, because she was anyway a very mystic lady, she was Khechri. So after 10,000 years of doing tapasya for pleasing Lord Shiva, Mahadev, Lord Shiva appeared to her, pleased with her. And what she must have demanded? She demanded, Lord Shiva, I want to have Lord Ramchandra as my husband. And then she took birth in Mathura again. But that time she was hunchback. It seemed that she had some weight of some past activities on her body, so that she was hunched like that. But because she had the desire to have Lord Ram as her husband, although it was very demoniac and very ghastly or very bibhatsa, you can say, the way she approached and the way she did things, and she also forgot to change her form. She was so excited. So the overall scene was very ghastly, but still that feeling must be somewhere genuine, right? That's why she carried on that feeling in the heart for 10,000 years while meditating and worshipping Lord Shiva. And that's how she got the boon also. And she actually became a very beautiful lady. Even Lord Krishna addresses her as Subhru, one whose eyebrows are very beautiful and attractive, and one whose eyes are like lotus petals, So she was very beautiful by face, only body was hunched, and then Krishna touched her and made her straight and very beautiful. So this was the history of Kubja. So before we come to the scene of Mathura, of the wrestling era, let's go back to history again and see who was who. There was a demon called Kalanemi. This Kalanemi fought with Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu killed him. But still, after killing also, Shukracharya came and gave him Sanjeevani and made him alive. And then he went for tapasya to kill Lord, the Supreme Lord, So he took birth as son of Ugrasen and Padmavati in Mathura. He was Kamsa. And Kamsa from childhood was very, very fond of wrestling. He has immense amount of strength. Unlimited, unbelievable strength. And he was one time just playfully wrestling in one of the arena. At that time, Jarasandha was a great king. He was on Digvijay. And on Digvijay, he was at one place on the camp. And he had the elephant, Kuvaliyapida. So now I'll take a little off track and tell you who Kuvaliyapida was. Okay? So Kuvaliyapida was in the past life son of Mahabali, that is Bali Maharaj. One of the sons. His name was Bandagati, but he had tremendous speed like air. And there was Lord Ranganath's Rath Yatra going on, conducted by Mahabali. And that time, out of great pride and pride of his strength and position of Rajputra, he was just walking very roughly in the middle of assembly of people, and there were sages and citizens and men and women and children and animals and everything was there. But he was going very roughly, disrespectfully and full of pride. So he was crushing people like anything. Just, smashing, crushing. He was not bothering about anybody. In the process, he happened to dash one Muni called Trita Muni, who was a sage, who was attending the Rath Yatra, and he fell down because of the dash. He didn't bother also. So Trita Muni got very angry and he said, you are very proud of being a Rajputra, and you are crushing everybody like an elephant. So you become an elephant. It is said that Mandagati had himself strength of 100,000 elephants. We hear of Bhima having strength of 10,000 elephants. So Kuvalayapida, this Mandagati had strength of 1 lakh elephants. So he was cursed that you became an elephant because you are acting like an elephant. So immediately Mandagati became very humble and fell at the feet of Trita Muni and said, please forgive me. I will not do this mistake again. But he said, my words, now they are spoken, they will not go wrong. But anyways, Lord Sri Hari will deliver you in the next life. When you will become Kuvalayapida elephant, with Lord Hari's touch, you will become delivered. So this Kuvalayapida was in the herd of Jarasandha's tent. And as Mandagati was also very violent and very proud of his strength, the elephant itself had strength of 1 lakh elephants. It was so powerful. So what he did, he broke all the shackles and everything, just broke everything and ran wildly everywhere, crushing everything on the way. And running, crushing, and he just wildly going around. He came to the akhada where Kamsa was wrestling with many of the men. This is practicing also and also showing the prowess. And as soon as the elephant came, he was appearing like intoxicated, wild, and he would destroy everything. So all the wrestlers ran away, and what remained was only Kamsa in the akhada. And what Kamsa did, he just lifted the elephant with his trunk and whirled him and smashed him on the ground. You can imagine the elephant had strength of 1 lakh elephants. And Kamsa very easily, like a boy plays with some toy, he just lifted him and smashed him. The elephant shield got up with angry, charged at him, and then again he lifted him up by trunk, and this time he whirled him so hard, and threw him in the sky. And he straight went back to Jarasandha's camp. So they were wondering, our elephant is gone, he broken the chains and gone. He came back from the skyway. So Jarasandha was very impressed. Who is this person who has such strength? So he went finding out, and he found out he was Kamsa. So he thought that I cannot do Digvijay activity with him. Digvijay means you have to go and send your horse, and the person will accept challenge and challenge you for the fight, and they fight. Or you accept and become a friend or surrendered soul to that Digvijay king. So Jarasandha thought that instead of training our horse, he brought his 2 daughters, Asti and Prapti, and got them married with Kamsa. So this is how Kamsa got married with 2 wives. And in his dowry, Sri Jarasandha gave 1 billion horses, 100,000 elephants, 300,000 chariots, 10,000 maidservants, and as dowry we gave him. And then Kamsa, so powerful, he just went to Mahishmati Puri. Mahishmati Puri is a very famous ancient, like we have Prag Jyotishpur, where our Narakasur existed, Bhaumasura. Like that, Mahishmati Puri also is another very important kingdom. So the story goes behind our today's people involved in the Katha is Chanur and Mushtik and his 3 brothers. So there is some place called Amravati in heavenly abode. That is where Indra rules, Amravati. There was a Muni called Utathya Muni, Mahamuni. And he had 5 sons. He was a Brahmin, he had 5 sons, and Brahmana is always, he was engaged in Brahma Karma, teaching scriptures, following austerity, Kshamadama, Shapas, Chaucham, Shantirarjavam, Evacha, Jnanam, Vijnanam, Astikyam. Was very busy. But some of his 5 sons, they didn't have any interest in Brahma Karma. Happens, many times. Today also we have Brahmin, the whole atmosphere of temple is filled with Brahminical vibration. Everybody is geared up to get Brahmin initiation. Yajna is going on. So these 5 sons had no interest. So what they did, they went to Mahabali. Mahabali was existing. They went to Mahabali's, Malla Vidya Shala. And they started learning Malla Vidya from him. This Malla Vidya is very interesting aspect of all the pastimes of the Lord. So they went to learn Malla Vidya from Mahabali, and they got very busy into that. They were very enamored and inspired. His father said, "What nonsense, children! You are supposed to be Brahmanas. You are supposed to study scriptures. You are higher than what you are doing, the activities, and you are supposed to be studying scriptures, teaching scriptures, performing tapasya, and becoming cool and calm. But you are interested in Kshatriya activities. This is nonsense. So I curse you that you take birth on earth as wrestlers." So they became Chanura, Mushtika, Kuta, Shala and Toshala. And they took birth in Maheshmatipuri. So this Maheshmati Naresh, he had these 5 sons, Chanura, Mushtika and Kuta, Shala and Toshala. So Kamsa went and challenged them and defeated them very ruthlessly in wrestling match. It's like, we have seen some movies where the hero goes and one hand, one man, second hand, second man, one punch, third man, and one kick, fourth man. Kamsa was actually beating them like that. It's like one punch was enough them to get smashed and vomit blood and faint down on the ground like that. And he defeated them, but he didn't kill them. They surrendered to him as friends. But he had so much strength, he wanted to go next and next. So he went to Mahendra Parvat. This Kamsa's history is very important to understand the complete glory of Krishna. Please understand. If Kamsa, we tell our children, Kamsa was sitting on the throne and Krishna went there, he climbed up and he dragged him down and he punched him and he died. So that Kamsa was as a weakling, 7-year-old boy gives one punch and the king of Mathura, Naresh, dies. So the real glory doesn't come out. What Krishna is and what unlimited strength he has got. Even to know Lord Ramchandra's glory, we should know who Ravana was, what strength he had, what knowledge, what tapasya he had done, and what kind of prowess he had, what kind of wars he had won so easily. And then comes how Lord Ram defeated him, and then you understand, Lord Ram is so powerful. So like that, Garga Samhita first describes Kamsa's Digvijay. Garga Muni, Narad Muni is describing the stories to Bahulashva. The same story is being described by Vaishampayana to Janamejay in another platform. And the same story is being described by Shukadev to Parikshit Maharaj on another platform. Simultaneously, not simultaneously, but this has happened. These stories have been narrated at 3 different levels. So, Narad Muni is first describing Kamsa Digvijay. So now, Kamsa has reached Mahendra Parvat. And he lifted Mahendra Parvat 100 times. Just lifted, kept down, lifted, kept down. So, who was there on Mahendra Parvat? Any idea? Parshuram. Bhagavan Parshuram was meditating on Mahendra Parvat. So he became very angry. Because in between killing the Kshatriyas, he would take rest, he would go to meditation. So he was doing his bhajan. And he was disturbed by this atrocious activity of Kamsa. So he was very angry and with red eyes, he came shouting at Kamsa, "You think you are so strong? You think you are so powerful? And you have defeated the elephant and some 5 brothers here and there. Here, take this bow. This bow was given to me by Vishnu, given to Lord Shiva by Vishnu. When Tripurasur was about to be killed, that time Lord Vishnu gave this to Shiva, and with that Lord Shiva killed Tripurasur. And then Lord Shiva gave this bow to me, he says, Parshuram, to kill Kshatriyas. If you have strength, show me to lift by lifting this bow, Shiva Dhanushya, or Vishnu Dhanushya rather. So it was of the length of 7 palm trees. Palm trees so long actually, generally. I think maybe 50 or 60 feet long, and it was like 7 times, something like 450 feet long this bow was, and it was not like a wooden bow. It was a very, very, very strong, bedecked with jewels, shining, effulgent, like anything. This Kamsa very easily by left hand lifted it. And again and again, strung it with the string, which is very difficult. Stringing a huge bow is not easy for all warriors. But he like several times strung it and pulled it several times. And when he one time pulled it and left it, the sound was so horrible that it was like earthquake in all 14 planets. Earth was getting actually holes in it. And everybody was wondering what is happening. Why suddenly pralay kind of activities are taking place? That was because of the twang of the bow that Kamsa pulled and left. And Parashurama was very happy, immediately happy. And he gifted that to Kamsa. And that was the Dhanushya which was there in Mathura, for which every year Dhanuryaga would take place. And for which 300 men would every time be required to lift it and bring to the arena of worship. And that was put in a very big palace, guarded by so many guests, so many soldiers. So, thus he achieved the Vishnu Dhanushya. Then from there he went to many places, and he challenged Aghasur, who was in the form of a snake, and he lifted Aghasur and smashed on the ground so many times, and then wore him as a garland around his neck. And Aghasur was unconscious. When he woke up, he surrendered. Then he went to Arishtasur. The way Krishna dealt with Arishtasur, much more harshly Kamsa had dealt with him. He lifted him with hind legs, front legs, with tail, and whirled him around, and he also passed urine and stool and smashed him on the ground, fell unconscious, and Arishta surrendered to him. Then he went to Prag-Jyotishpur, where Narakasur was residing. Narakasur is the son of Varahadev and Bhumi. It's called as Bhauma, Putra of Bhumi. Then got association of Banasur, so he became Bhauma Asura, and established himself in Prag-Jyotishpur. And there he had band of friends, Pralamba, Dhenuka, Trinavarta, Baka, Putana, everybody was there. And he went and challenged, and Narakasur sent one by one. And he defeated Pralambasur like anything, punched him on the head. Everybody was falling unconscious. They were getting paralyzed by the blows of Kamsa. Then Dhenukasur came, same way, the way Krishna whirled him. He was whirled by Kamsa again and again and smashed on the ground. Then Trinavarta, very amazing thing. It is said that something like, I think 10,000 feet or something, Krishna was taken up by Trinavarta. It said 1 million miles high Trinavarta took Kamsa. And from there Kamsa smashed him, and from 1 million miles Trinavarta fell on the ground. But he didn't die, because there was a boon that Krishna will kill him. And Trinavarta surrendered to him. He said, 1 million miles in the sky, I am taking somebody, how can somebody survive? And I am only getting smashed on the ground. So he surrendered to him. Then Bakasur came. Bakasur also swallowed Kamsa. And Kamsa was so angry inside. He just cut his throat in 2 parts. Cheer diya usko. And he came out of that. And then held his tail and whirled him and again smashed him again and again. He vomited blood. So Bakasur said, thank you very much. I surrender to you. And then Putana came. Putana was very strong. Putana was in the past life Ratnamala. She was Mahabali's sister. When Mahamandev appeared in the scene, she felt so much motherly affection for that beautiful, attractive child. She felt like, I want to breastfeed this child, as a mother. I wish this child becomes my child. And then in the course of time, when she was getting overwhelmed with maternal affection for this beautiful child, suddenly he became so big, unbelievably. Nobody could see him in the sky. They had to fall down behind. You had to see his head. And then he raised his legs and he covered all the planets and smashed the pride of Bali, and Bali was trapped by the forest creepers and being dragged by Varun Pash with very insulting way. So she became very angry. She thought, I want to kill this child. So she became Putana next life. And she became a Khesari again, who would chant mantra and make a blade of grass become an aeroplane and then travel and then do very ghastly activities. So when she came up from the assembly of Prag Jyotishpur, Narakasur, Kamsa said, I don't fight with women. I take you as my brother. I mean, you take me as your brother. You are my sister. And then Narakasur said, oh, you are so strong. There is no use of fighting with you. I also become friend with you. So Narakasur didn't fight with him and became friends with him. And then, after making all these people friends and surrendered souls, then he went to Shambharasur. Shambharasur immediately came. This Shambharasur comes in the story of Pradyumna. If you remember, when we'll go through the Krishna book, we'll come to know that one Shambharasur comes in. He surrendered with no war. Then Vymasur came and there was a big war in the sky. Very ghastly war. Oh, it seemed that all demigods were trembling in fear when this war was going on. And still Kamsa subdued Vymasur. And then Narad Muni met Kamsa. And Kamsa said, my hands are still itching. I want to fight with somebody equal. So he said, one Banasur is there. Very good rival for you. And this Banasur, he had performed such tapasya that he had got in boon 100 arms, if I am not wrong. 100 arms he had. He told Lord Shiva that, I want to beat the drum with 100 hands for your pleasure. Lord Shiva gave him 100 arms. And as soon as he got 100 arms, he became so proud and he wanted to, really use those arms to defeat somebody. So he was like beating the mountains into powders and he was doing all kinds of unbelievable activities. And then he was asking everybody, who is my equal fight? So everybody told, Lord Vishnu is your equal fight. Anyway, that Banasur was told by, Kamsa was told by Narada to go and attack. And then there was such a war, indescribably explained in Garga Samhita, that everybody was, both the parties were so strong and they were like destroying everything around them. So Lord Shiva appeared and he said, both of you are equal, please don't fight, become friends. Lord Shiva had to come down and make truce between the two. And then they became friends. Then Kamsa went and attacked Vatsasur. And similarly with his tail he whirled him and smashed him. And Vatsasur surrendered to him. And then Kalayavana came with his huge army. And Kamsa single-handedly defeated Kalayavana and killed all his army. And after that, the real war began. The real war was by this time, all the demigods were like really trembling because they understood that this guy is very strong and he is not only strong but he is very intelligently going around and getting all his troops, allies together. Because now he is a Mahasena because all the big demons are now all his friends or subdued subjects or his friends or somebody's father-in-law because of the marriage. So Indra gathered all the demigods and challenged Kamsa. And there was a huge fight between Indra and demigods and Kamsa. And all this big gang was there on Kamsa's side. And it was a terrific war. But unfortunately, in the terrific war, all the demigods were defeated. And they had to run away for their life. Indra's Vajra could not work. And Indra had to flee away. And they also surrendered to Kamsa. And they went away. Such was Kamsa. It was said that he was so powerful that when he would walk, he would look like an effulgent moon. When he was fanned by chamaras, it was like effulgent moon covered by clouds. It was so attractive and beautiful, carried by umbrella by some other servants of his. He was very, very powerful. People were very scared of him. And specifically in Mathura, nobody had guts to talk about Krishna openly anywhere. They would only talk about Krishna in their houses, privately. Nobody could discuss the matter of Krishna and all Vasudeva and Devaki and their births and everything openly. It was like a forbidden subject matter. So now, Krishna has already killed Kovelapida, right? And he had removed the Hastidanta from Kovelapida. And with that, Krishna Balram had smashed all the other Mahuts and other soldiers who were protecting. Some of them ran away, some of them were killed. And then with those two Hastidantas on shoulder, very royally, Krishna Balram, looking like effulgent suns, entered the arena. And the arena was very, 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 very large, like unlimited. And there were many, many variety of kinds of people who were watching Krishna. And that story will come. That how 10 kinds of rasas were exhibited. Right from fear to love to chivalry to seeing Krishna as Yamraj himself, to seeing Krishna as Yamaduta, to seeing Krishna as a fellow wrestler, to seeing Krishna as a very good friend, to seeing Krishna as a very nice child, sweet, to seeing Krishna as a very good lover, like Kamadev, attracting the hearts of everybody. 10 kinds of, Thakur Bhaktivedanta explains 10 kinds of varieties of beautiful reciprocative emotions were exhibited there. Simply by Krishna walking in the assembly. The Krishna's actually, every activity, every step that he takes is simply to invoke variety of emotions in everybody's heart. For example, the enemies will always get inimical feeling. The devotees will get feeling as per their rasa. But ultimately, if we go deep into the understanding of Krishna's activity, it is simply manifestation of love. Because although he kills somebody, it's also love. But everybody who was so sinful, instantly by his touch, he relieved them of all the sinful activities and gave them liberation, perfection of their life. Maybe Sayujya, but nonetheless, compared to what kind of sinful activities and burden they had, what they received was instant. For example, when that Muni cursed Kuvalayapida, that person to Mandagati to become elephant, he said, thus just by the touch of Krishna, you will be delivered. So as soon as Krishna touched him for the first time, Kuvalayapida completely got relieved of all his sinful activities. Thereafter he only experienced ecstasy, and in the process he gave Krishna a lot of pleasure of fighting. So now when he came inside, Kamsa was already sitting, he was already welcomed, sitting on the throne. Nanda Maharaj was looking at him, and he felt, at the same time he felt fear, at the same time he felt anticipatory anxiety, at the same time he felt great love and compassion. So Rupa Goswami and Thakur Bhaktivedanta ji are expressing how in Krishna Leela, in the hearts of devotees, mixed emotions can take place together. What was the fear that, these small children whose arms are so delicate, limbs like creepers of trees, so delicate, are being challenged by people like mountains, whose strength is like mountains, body is like mountains, arms are like elephant trunks with 10,000 elephant strength. So there was fear. How can this happen? This is unjust. And they were feeling that to be in this assembly is also participating in sin. Because in the assembly where injustice is being done and you are present over there, not doing anything but just being present over there, is also participating in the sin. So we should all quit this assembly and go away. Because unjust activity of challenging little children by true, many strong wrestlers is not a just thing. So all the villages also were in that same mood. Mathura Nagari also, there were many ladies, they were not exactly knowing what was Kamsa's plan. Only few people knew, the chief people. But the villagers thought there is a Dhanuragya. It's all fun. Children will wrestle with children, and men will wrestle with men, and wrestlers will wrestle with wrestlers, and so forth. So it's a very wonderful activity. But then they saw that Chanura is talking to Krishna and Balram. And Chanura is saying, you look like a very brave boy. This elephant had strength of 100,000 elephants, and you have playfully defeated him. You look to be very strong. And these boys they also look like very trained in wrestling. In Krishna Leela, every day these boys would wrestle with Krishna. And when Krishna lifted Govardhan, Mother Yashoda thought, see, because I gave him Padmagandha, cow's milk, that is why he got the strength. Good, I took so much trouble. Now the whole fruit of my trouble is coming into existence. And the coward boy was saying, no, Mother Yashoda did not know. She doesn't know the real secret of Krishna's lifting Govardhan. Because me, Sudama, Ujjwal and other friends were every day training him in wrestling match. That is why, and we were defeating him every day, by the way. But in the process of getting defeated, he developed so much of strength and art of wrestling. That is why he is able to lift this Govardhan mountain. And there is one place called Bhandirvan. In Bhandirvan, Radharani and gopis would wrestle with Krishna. That's called Malla Leela. And in Bhandirvan Leela, Radharani and gopis would always defeat Krishna. And he would always come alone because he knew he was going to get defeated, so he will not bring his boyfriends with him. Because getting defeated with boyfriends is fine, but getting defeated from girlfriends in front of boys is very embarrassing. So he would go alone and every time he would get defeated. So Radharani also was an expert Malla actually. So Chanura is glorifying him actually. And Krishna said, see, it is not fair to have fights with unequals. We are just mere boys, Chanura says, no, you are very strong. You are strongest of the strong. And your brother also looks very strong. And you have killed so nicely Chanura. Actually, he was very impressed with Krishna killing the Kuvalayapida. And they were carrying that Hastidanta on their shoulder. It was looking so glorious, So Chanura had also mixed feelings. He had fear, he had anger, he had envy, and also he was impressed. And then he said, you must fight with me. So then in this verse, Krishna decided, Sankalpo, Evam Charchita Sankalpo. He decided for finally now, let me fight with him. So Chanura said, I'll take you upon me. And my brother Mustika will take upon Balramji. And simultaneously the fight began. And these two fights were the main fights. Rest three brothers were waiting, just watching. And this fight was attracting attention of everybody. And when this fight was going on, before that fight, Krishna actually taught him the lesson that war should be done among equals. That Acharyas explained that warriors should not fight with those who are unarmed. Warriors should not fight with those who are asleep, those who are frightened, and those who are less powerful than oneself. They should fight with equals, Rathi with Rathi, Maharathi with Maharathi. And then Krishna said, we will fight with equals, but you two are powerful. But then Chanura said, no, we'll fight with you. And then Krishna decided. At the same time, when the fight began, Krishna suddenly held one hand of him at the neck of Chanura and one hand near his waist and lifted him in the sky. Everybody was aghast to see a small boy who was delicate like creepers in the forest, so sweet, and his arms like elephant trunks and body like mountains, black colored, ferocious looking wrestlers. They were like real mountains in front of these children. And very easily Krishna lifted him in the sky, as if Brahma weighs somebody of their pious activities. Krishna lifted, and it is explained he was weighing Chanura's sinful activities. So Chanura has amassed a lot of sins because of his association to come with Kamsa and because of his service to Kamsa. He was filled with sins. But as soon as Krishna touched him, he was rid of all his sinful activities. And then began the war. And after that, when he lifted him in the sky, he smashed him in the ground. About 100 miles in the sky, he was thrown away. And when he was coming down, he was coming with face down. And he came down on the ground, got smashed. He was very angry and very ferocious. He punched Krishna with both hands on his chest. But it didn't have any effect on Krishna. Again Krishna lifted him and threw him in the sky. And again, this time, he came down and smashed. Again, Chanura got up and smashed Krishna with both hands with fist. Many times he smashed Krishna on the chest. And here you can see the ladies and the coward men and the Mathuravasi men, their hearts were going up and down. Because you can see that when the mountainous demons were hitting Krishna on their chest, it was too difficult to bear. And there was a lot of sweat and the face had become red because of anger and because of the heat around in the arena. The hairs were getting scattered with dust, filled up with dust. So why Krishna has to sweat? So the Acharyas explain that to create real Veer Rasa, Krishna had to appear like the worldly man. If he is like fresh and his hair is also nicely combed and no flower falls from his ear and no garland flower also falls on the ground, and it's like, no charm is there. So to give real Veerras experience and to give all kinds of anxieties and invoke love and compassion in the hearts of all people and an envy and fury in the hearts of enemies, he was doing all this full-fledged drama. Krishna is, when he comes down, he, at one point of time, he invokes variety of feelings in millions of people's hearts, just by one stroke of action. So here also, when the ladies are seeing the sweat and the redness of the face and the shattered hair and this dust and the effort, as if they are exhausted, their heart are getting upheavals in the heart. This is what kind of king we have, such a sinful rascal king. We should all leave the assembly of these wrestling arena immediately, not to partake of the sins. But they could not leave because their hearts were getting so fearful to see these young boys, so they just couldn't leave in detachment of scriptural knowledge. They had love for Krishna, and their love was increasing by leaps and bounds. And then finally, Chanura, actually it is explained by Acharyas that he gave lot of pleasure to Krishna of fighting. He really pleased him. And finally Krishna held him with two arms, like Garuda holds snake by his two claws. And with two arms he held him, and he took him close to Kamsa, and he whirled him round and round and round and round in front of eyes of Kamsa. And Kamsa was getting so angry and furious, at the same time getting more and more fearful, looking at the condition of Charuna. But Chanura was one of the biggest and powerful champion wrestler of Mathura. And he was whirled like a toy by Kamsa, by Krishna. And after moving him many times, finally Krishna smashed him on the ground in such a way that Chanura's head cracked. Like by hitting of thunderbolt of Indra, the mountain peaks crack and lava comes out. Like that, the head of Chanura cracked. And the blood came out. And he vomited blood also. And he died in front of Kamsa. The most unimaginable, unbelievable thing happened in front of Kamsa. And there, wrestling was going on with Balram and Mushtika. And also there is a great description of punching, because they use hands and feet and knees and fingers and arms and fists, chest to chest, head to head. The same time when they were hitting with head to head and chest to chest, the audience was feeling, oh, even they are getting hurt, The opposite party was getting more hurt. But at the same time, they felt, oh, how much hurt Krishna was feeling on his chest. His lotus-like soft chest is being smashed by the head of the demon Chanura and Mustika, who were trained wrestlers. But they used even fingers to attack one another. They used every part of each other. They hit knees with knees, ankles with ankles, toes with toes, heads with head, chest with chest, arms with arms. And also they used elbows, as I explained in the purport. And then Balramji lifted Mustika after hitting him with many times in feast, whirled him around and smashed on the ground like Garuda smashes snake. And he vomited blood, and Mustika died. And thus Chanura and Mustika both died. And then Kuta came and Krishna killed him, and Shal and Toshal came and Balram killed him. And then they ran towards Kamsa. Anyways, the Leela will go ahead. But we can see that Krishna now have assumed Aishwarya. When he has left Mathura, left Vrindavan, he was filled with Madhurya. So whatever happened there was unbelievable. He was getting defeated by ladies in Mallalila. He was getting defeated by young coward boys, sweet coward boys. But as soon as he crossed the border and crossed Jamuna, by the Leela with Akrura, he actually told the world that now I am assuming my Aishwarya Bhav. And also he assumed Kshatriya Bhav. When he touched that person with his finger, his head got chopped off. Right? And the way he entered, every warrior felt he is the greatest warrior. So already he had assumed Kshatriya mood, Aishwarya Bhav. And the difference between Mathura Vasis and the Vrindavan Vasis did not know that Krishna was Supreme Lord. Even they came to Mathura to witness their activities, still they did not know that Krishna is Supreme Lord. But all the Mathura Vasis who were residents of Mathura, they all knew that Krishna is Supreme Lord. Nanda Maharaj did not know, Vasudev knew because he had seen the four-armed form of Krishna. And all these mixtures of wonderful bhavs were manifested in the arena of Kamsa. And Gargamuni takes great pain in describing how beautiful the arena was of Kamsa's wrestling. So much opulence was there. Anyways, so the ladies express their bhav of compassion, and Acharyas explained that this bhav of compassion is very important because that increases the vatsalya of the ladies of Mathura. That increased the vatsalya of Nanda Maharaj for him. But the coward boys who were traveling with Krishna, they never felt any time any fear. Because they had some unbelievable faith in Krishna's prowess. But they had seen in Vrindavan, such big guys came and Krishna just killed in front of their eyes all these demons so effortlessly. Already all those big gang, many people were already killed. All of them mostly were killed, except Jarasandha and few were remaining, Shambharasura and others. So they were only people who were rejoicing, standing just next to Krishna in the arena of wrestling. They were all just around, not that they were in the audience. They were just around. And whenever he would kill one wrestler, they would start jumping and dancing in the middle of the assembly. In between, when they were fighting, when Charuna and Mushrika got killed, all the boys came in the arena and started wrestling with one another, like they would do in Vrindavan. They all came together and they started wrestling very playfully as they would do in Vrindavan. So wrestling is a Vaishnava game. It's a bona fide Vaishnava game. Even our Acharyas explain, swimming and wrestling is bona fide Vaishnava game. So this was the atmosphere of Mathura when Chanura and Mushrika were killed. So we should pray to Krishna that he also kills these demoniac tendencies in our heart, the envy that we have, with which we also want to compete with Krishna, take the position of Krishna. He can smash those tendencies by being very kind with us. And whatever it takes, yena kena prakarena, whatever it takes, we pray to him that you do the needful. If it means to punch us, if it means to embrace us, whatever you feel, do the necessary activity so that this demoniac tendencies in us to compete with the Lord, to take his position, to challenge him, goes away. But it is there without any doubt. It was exhibited very strongly and obviously in the lives of Kamsa and the demons. But such kind of a demon is hiding in the heart of all of us also. So we should earnestly pray to Krishna that whatever way he feels appropriate, he should kill these demoniac tendencies in the heart and help us to increase our devotion. Today also happens to be Good Friday. Good Friday is the day when the begotten Son of the Lord, the beloved Son of the Lord, Jesus Christ, was crucified. For the sake of the world, Jesus Christ accepted the sins of everybody and went on the cross and tolerated all the pain of being tortured on the cross so that everybody else gets relieved of their sins. And he also exhibited on the cross a great level of compassion. He said, "Oh Lord, please forgive them. They do not know what they are doing." No one can do that unless somebody is highly blessed with mercy of the Lord. Only supremely blessed with the mercy of the Lord, one can not be proud, although he is very knowledgeable, he is very wealthy, he is very powerful and influential, he is very beautiful, very highly born. In spite of all these things, if somebody is still able to maintain humility, that means he has achieved the mercy of Radha and Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So, even though he was being tortured to death, he was being nailed in hands and feet and on the chest and everywhere in the body, he was worn a crown of thorns by the people who were killing him. Still, he exhibited compassion for them and he prayed to the Lord for them. They don't know what they are doing. Please forgive them. They are in ignorance. When you pray in such a condition, this is the highest level of prayer. We can pray for everybody in all conditions of life as long as they don't do any harm to you. As long as they do harm to you, your prayer stops for them. Why should I do prayer for them? Because already he is hurting me. But when prayers are continued, in spite of you getting harmed by the same person, those are the real prayers. And when they are uttered, Krishna has to respond to them. Such a level of tolerance and such level of compassion beyond the level of tolerance of the selfish torture to the self. How can Lord not respond to such prayers of compassion? So this is Jesus Christ. He actually, for the humanity, for the kindness, for the welfare of humanity, he went on the cross. On the third day he rose from the dead, as predicted by the scriptures. So Prabhupada said Jesus Christ is like our Guru. He is like an Acharya. Acharya also takes the sins of his disciple at the time of initiation and frees the disciple of his burden, which doesn't allow him to progress very fast in Krishna consciousness in his path of bhakti. So he releases him of that burden by taking the burden to himself, tolerating the effect of the burden on himself, but releasing the follower from all the burden. Similarly, Jesus Christ did the same thing. He accepted the burden of everybody to release them to run towards the Lord. And his glory was revealed to the world only after he was crucified and he rose from the dead. By the time everybody was repenting, oh, we lost his association. He was amongst us, he was with us, he was teaching the gospel of the Lord, he was talking about the Lord. He actually lived the life given in the scriptures as prediction, but still we didn't believe him out of the envious tendency. So because of the envy, we many times do not recognize the person who is self-realized amongst us. We envy him also for his spiritual advancement, for his influence over people, for his kindness on people, for the respect that he receives from people. We envy him also. And only after he leaves the world, then we start realizing his glories. That is the very sorry affair of the state of all of our consciousness in the material world. Just because of being in the material world, we only come to know the glory of people only after they leave this world. So everybody glorified Jesus Christ only after he left the world. More powerfully, and the Christianity came into upsurge only after he left. He rose from the dead and disappeared. Then the whole teachings came to life, and many flocks of thousands of people, millions of people became Christians. But Jesus Christ never actually preached Christianity. Jesus Christ preached love of Godhead. Those who followed, they called themselves as Christian. When Jesus was preaching everybody, he was not distinguishing that you are from Brahminical class, you are from Kshatriya class, and you are from Shudra, and you are from Vaishya class. Muhammad came to do the same thing. He never discriminated amongst people. Whoever was on earth, they were his subjects of kindness and mercy. And now we are separating ourselves from each other by various distinctions. When the messenger of the Lord and the Lord came down, there were only two castes, demons and devotees. So we owe great respect and prayers for Jesus Christ. So I thought I should also speak few words to offer honors to him on the day he accepted the cross for sake of all of us. Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki. Thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments?